Oh.
Yeah, baby, we're recording.
Okay.
Welcome to the studio. Whole thing is over. This is a Talking Heads, motherfuckers. If you ain't never heard them, you ain't lived before. Alright guys, it's been a long time. It's been almost a month. Welcome to episode number 20 of the Here We Are podcast. Sorry it's been so long, guys. Had a hard time, stretched really thin trying to get ready for Christmas. I ended up redoing my daughter's room and
Getting out of rehab for the crack addiction.
Yeah, getting out of rehab for the crack addiction. That was tough right during the holidays too, so I was really kind of bugging out about all of it. And no, but that was just a lot of work, and I've been working a lot too at my job, and then after that, you know, out of the frying pan and into the fire, next couple weeks after Christmas, I was getting my girlfriend moved to Des Moines. She's going there for nursing school and stuff, so it's just been, I have not had any time to myself or any time to work on our projects or anything. But yeah, man, we're here with our 20th episode of the Here We Are podcast, and I think it's just kind of perfect that it ends up on the 20th episode because some of you may have already heard, but we are getting ready to rebrand our channel from the Here We Are podcast to the entitled Millennials podcast. So we're really excited. We ended up doing that because, you know, when we first started, we kind of looked on YouTube and this and that, and we didn't see Here We Are podcast. But actually, as it turns out, Here We Are is already a pretty big, well-known podcast with, I think the guy's name is Shane Moss. Pretty interesting.
It's pretty small still, though, to be honest.
Yeah, but it's well done, and he does a podcast where he has scientists and thinkers and stuff on every week, and it was funny because I had heard about it, and we've been talking about rebranding for months, trying to think of a name, trying to this and that, and it was funny. I was watching the Whiskey Ginger podcast, and then the guy who owns the Here We Are podcast was on there. He just was like, yeah, I do a podcast called Here We Are. I'm like, oh fuck, this is the guy.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah, so kind of funny. So yeah, we're gonna change the name from Here We Are to the entitled Millennials.
A tongue-in-cheek name. If you don't understand tongue-in-cheek,
yeah,
you're fucking dead to me.
Yeah, I know.
God.
Yeah, we decided to go with entitled Millennials. I don't even know how it came to us, but we just kind of thought it went well with kind of what the podcast is about, being about a lot of political stuff and a lot of young people, and when we bitch about political stuff, millennials get called entitled, they get called this and that. So we were like, yeah, let's do that. And this rebrand is going to be more than just changing the name of the channel. In the next month or two, we're going to be developing several social media accounts. We're going to have an entitled Millennial Facebook page, an entitled Millennial Facebook group, an Instagram account, and then hopefully by the middle of the year, we'll start working on an entitled Millennials website. And this is going to be more than just the podcast. Our channel is going to be, Entitled Millennials is the name of the channel, and we're going to have different shows on it. Just like if you turned on ABC, they've got all their different sitcoms or whatever. So Johnny's going to be doing a solo show at some point. We're kind of trying to get him learned on the equipment, on the software. I'm going to be doing more of my thinking out loud. We're experimenting with some video editing techniques. I have a big learning curve, but we'll be able to produce more content that way. And then we've talked to another friend of ours who lives in California about maybe getting him started on his own YouTube show and maybe joining forces with him. But besides just the YouTube channel, I'm going to continue doing the Patreon. I hope to get back to writing pretty soon. But we're going to create this entitled Millennials website where we are going to be open ears for any and all writers on a variety of subjects. Politics and social stuff, obviously, philosophy, art, music, reviews, travel, just anything at all. and we're going to have forums on there. And the idea is, the YouTube is the center to a degree, but we're going to build a network of like-minded people or even different thinking people who want to get their voices out into the world. So on that note, I'm going to put my our YouTube channel email in the comment box or whatever. So if you're a writer, if you have interest and you want to contribute to this, you can send me an editorial or column length piece of work about whatever you want. It can be your own thing. It could be a short story, a poem. I don't care what it is. Send it to us. Until we get the website created, we are going to just be posting it on the Facebook page. What I ask is if you send something, also send a 3 to 4 sentence bio about yourself from the third person. So, like, example for me, it would be Dylan Daniels is a working class writer and poet out of this area, right? So send that, and then also whatever it is that you write, send a picture that you would like to have used as like the thumbnail to go with it. So we're hoping that you'll support us with that. We got a lot of work ahead of us. We have a talented artist who's working on a logo for us right now, and I'm actually going to see if I can pull it up. I've got it. Yeah, I think this is it right here. She's working on a logo for us. This is not the finished product. We're going to be doing some back and forth, a few more rough drafts before we get the final product here done. But this is what we're looking at right now. So, yep, kind of going with this. And like I said, we'll be doing video editing to like incorporate this. And we're going to just be doing a bunch of stuff. And hopefully here soon, by February 1st, we're hoping to have all of our social media ready, have the channel all repainted and stuff. And then once we get to that point, we are going to be doing a podcast, at least one podcast every week. Johnny's going to do a solo show every week, a 5-10 minute video. I will be doing a solo show every week, 5 to 10 minute video. And we're going to go. And then also a big thing, a lot of people in our comments have talked to us about doing clips from the podcast. They say, podcasts are too long. Obviously, the nature of a podcast, it has to be long. But we're going to start taking clips from that. I've already started working on that. It's going to be a little rough around the edges at first, but we'll get there.
Yeah, it just sucks having to do all this like us, you know what I mean? When you have someone who does all that for you, it's probably so much easier.
Yeah, it really is. But you know what? We'll get you trained on stuff and get you comfortable with it. And then, literally the workload's going to be cut in half. And our social media, we'll be sharing memes about, fucking being poor, being a millennial, this and that, funny stuff, articles, interesting stuff for you guys to share. And you can join us on that community. And we'll try to be as active as possible in it and talk with our fans and all that. So yeah, that's kind of the lay of the land, guys. I hope you guys started off this new year right. Before we get into the news and stuff, I didn't have much of a celebration because, like I said, we were so busy, but I just celebrated January 1st, 1 year of sobriety. Yep, 1 year since I quit drinking.
Had an epic blowout party where we got wasted.
Yeah, the epic blowout party consisted of a cookie cake.
Yeah.
Which it had something on it that was kind of like apropos. I can't remember. It was like...
Yeah, I saw it when
it was like, here's to the new you, and it had a champagne bottle on it or something, so it was pretty funny. So that, I just shared that with my kid, my girlfriend, so it was pretty nice. It's been a journey, but I'm glad to be sober, and I guess for any of you that are out there struggling with addiction or you just want to get your life straight, man, drop a comment, tell me about your story, and, we'd love to hear that sort of thing. I think Johnny's trying the sober train here. He's quit booze, and he feels a lot better, too, and taking better care. Yep.
A lot more clear mentally.
Yep.
Feel more intelligent almost.
Yep. No more fog hanging around your head constantly. So, anyway, that's it, guys. We're going to hop into the show here. So, I think, and we're just going to free ball today. I don't have anything written down, but there's been so much in the news the last month that I think the biggest thing on everybody's mind is probably what's been going on in Iran. In our first episodes, we talked about, tensions have been rising with Iran for the last year, and I think we've really
longer than that.
Yeah. But this last year, it's really kind of been center stage. The United States government several months ago blamed them for an attack on a Japanese oil tanker.
Yeah, and then there was something with the Saudi Arabia that they supposedly blew up something. They shot down a drone.
There were some oil rigs blown up in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
There was a drone shot down. Recently, there was the Ukrainian airliner. I think it was a civilian airliner that was shot down.
Yeah, they shot that down.
Iran actually did take credit for that. I think it was a mistake. But everything's kind of culminated with, obviously, Trump sanctioning the assassination of Iranian General Soleimani. So things have just been really tense right now. I mean, everybody's seen the World War III memes going around, which have been pretty hilarious, but at the same time, like...
Yeah, it's like we could be on the brink of a major war and we just make fucking memes about it. But
yeah, leave it to humanity to laugh at its own extinction, you know? So, I don't know, Johnny, do you have any thoughts on this? Like, it's just been wild, and...
I mean, it's just crazy to me that a couple years ago, we were, like, giving major credit to this general for helping take on ISIS.
Yeah, the caliphate.
And he was on a peace mission to the Saudis. And from what I understand, we were involved in setting this mission up as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's...
Really?
And it's like, I don't want to sound like I'm defending the guy, because, you know, it's a fucking Iranian general, and I'm sure he has done a lot of fucked up shit. Like, I'm sure, I know he's done a lot of fucked up shit. But to label him a terrorist is just this blanket statement that he's a sovereign nation's, like, he's not just a general, he's like a high up in command of Iran.
Yeah, he's an important and because of the nature, they have a theocracy where essentially the government, the priesthood, or the church, and the military are all kind of intertwined into this power structure, which is obviously very foreign to Americans. So you didn't just kill a general, and not only did you kill a general that's not engaged in warfare of any kind at this moment, right? He was on a peace mission, which would hopefully stabilize tensions in the Middle East, and our government murdered him. And it's just... It's unilateral. It's scary on a lot of numbers, because it's the United States empire acting unilaterally, despite outcry from the rest of the...
Well, that's the thing. World. Like, we expect other nations to follow rule of law, but we don't. And then...
Yeah.
It's American exceptionalism.
Well, yeah, we don't have to follow the rule of law because we carry a big stick.
Yeah.
Walk softly and carry a big stick. Teddy Roosevelt, you know? And
it's concerning to me to see the people who like support Trump, who were very supportive of it. Like,
yeah, people we know.
We will go to war if, I don't know, they will just support a war if Trump wants to do a war.
Yeah, it's outright come to just blatant... I mean, it's crazy to see the way that Americans have changed. Like, if you look back, you know, prior to World War II and during World War II, we never had really much of a standing army. We have, obviously, like, there's Plains-Indian Wars, and things kind of escalated a little bit after World War I. But, I mean, if you look at the Constitution and you look at the Federalist Papers that some of the Founding Fathers wrote, one of the most anti-American things when you get down to what it means to really be an American is anti-imperialism, that we separated ourselves from the British Empire. If you look at the Constitution, you look at the Federalist Papers, and some of the things that the Founding Fathers thought about was this perspective that America should not have a standing army. It should not be an empire. They had fears of not necessarily a military-industrial complex, because that concept didn't come around until, you know, World War I, World War II. But they had fears that, because they had the British occupying them, and they had fears that the United States government, if it got out of hand, could act in a similar way. And then you fast forward, you know, a couple hundred years later, and the United States military is the largest on the planet ever.
Well, when would you say the anti-imperialist argument was stifled in this country? The 60s? I'd say that's when it was really put down.
Yeah, you know, we've talked about this a little bit. Here's the thing. America has always been a warlike culture because of the very nature of us coming to a foreign continent, and we had to carve out an existence.
But a big thing in government, like, it literally was debated, like, openly, if we should be imperialist or not. Whereas now it's...
You know what? That kind of honestly started in the 1890s and the early 1900s, because during that second industrial revolution, you had... This is where you start... During that time period, 1890s, early 1900s, is when you start to see the power structure of the United States, the American state system develop. And you saw it develop all around the world, Germany, France, Russia, whatever. You start to see the modern state system take shape.
Wasn't that during like the Banana Wars that one general
Yes,
talked about?
Exactly. And
Smudley or whatever.
And what it was is these huge conglomerates, these huge corporations. This is when we first started to see them take shape, was in the 1890s, early 1900s. And these men had so much power that they used it to have sway over the government. And obviously Banana Wars and other instances where the government essentially became an arm for the profit-making devices of large corporations. But it never reached the level that we think of now, like with the Cold War and, you know, Korea, Vietnam, yada, 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 until about the 60s. There had always been an anti-war sentiment among Americans. You know, World War I, we didn't want to get involved for a long time. World War II, it took us forever to get involved. We had American isolationism. But yeah, World War II kind of changed everything, because what happened is, again, it was corporations to a degree made so much wealth off of war, off of producing the machinery of war, that they didn't want to let that go. And then on top of it, the government was given extended powers, and they kind of came together. You know, they told Harry Truman, like, yo, you can't stop producing this minute. It's going to tank the economy if you stop the war economy. You can't just transition to but really what it was is they wanted to protect their bottom line.
Truman was a fucking guy, never should have been president. If you actually know the history of it, should have been fucking Henry Wallace.
Yeah, it should have been, and the world would have been a lot different. He did all kinds of peace missions all around the world, and
dude, he was beloved.
He really was. He was a great man. I think he was VP of FDR for 3 administrations, and then on that 4th.
Maybe only 2.
I can't remember who was the first.
Yeah, I feel like he had a different VP the first term.
But Henry Wallace was the courts of America. There may have never been a court.
Dude, and he was like seconds away from being made VP. Like the guy was trying to get there to like nominate him. Because conventions were way different back then.
Yeah.
In my opinion, I feel like they were almost better, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's hard to say. It's hard to say if something like that would work in our modern system of government. But yeah, I mean, that early time period, 1890s, 1900s, is when we start to see the foundation of the American empire built. We see it come into its adulthood after World War II. And it's interesting if you look at human history, there's a parallel between that time period in American history and a similar time period in ancient Rome. Because ancient Rome was a republic, and a lot like us, they were, even as a republic, a warlike creature or a culture, because they had all these tribes on the Italian peninsula, and they were fighting against them. There was the Samites, there was all these different groups. So they were already kind of warlike. You could compare that to like how we were with the native Indians and the Mexicans and the Spanish and even the French, right? So there's a parallel there. But what happened is eventually they unified the Italian peninsula, similar to how we kind of unified the 13 colonies. It's different, but there's parallels there, right? And then what started to happen is Rome started getting involved increasingly on the global stage in foreign wars, right? In particular, it was the Punic Wars with Carthage, which was a Phoenician trading empire on northern Africa. And what happened is after these wars where they came out on top, and after wars on the Greek archipelago and up north on the border of France, they found themselves in a scenario where suddenly they were to a degree held responsible for these regions. And it inevitably led to more wealth and power being put in the hands of military people and in
so were these regions class. They weren't officially Rome though?
No, but they became.
It was
more
like our
how we
Philippines, shit like that, essentially.
Kind of, yeah.
Or Puerto Rico,
and even like you could draw a parallel to like Europe, where like because of the wars that we got involved in, suddenly we're like kind of held accountable for like what's going to happen in these regions. We're the only power. The other powers are decimated from years of war, and years of war before even the two major world wars. And suddenly it's like America's the only one with the economy and the organization and the political stability to kind of clean up the mess. Mm-hmm. And this is what's known as the path to empire. And things just, it's hard. It starts, you go down it, and it's hard to turn back. And so after World War II, we see ourselves taking the reins of this empire that we didn't even necessarily want.
And you can go and look back at their corrupt fucking emperors and shit.
Yeah.
And then you can look at, like, Dick Cheney and Bush,
Exactly.
Reagan.
Exactly.
Like our pieces of shit.
Yeah, you start to see in ancient Rome and also in American history, you start to see just the empire became more and more blatant. You look at the first emperors, Caesar and his nephew Augustus, right? And, you know, they obviously they had their own agendas and stuff, but it sort of had this mask of being about the people and being about Rome. But by the end of the empire, the emperor, it just was full blown like, dude, it's about the wealthy and and they had so many of the similar problems that we have.
Wow, I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, it's pretty mind blowing stuff. We got way off subject there.
Yeah.
But it's still interesting stuff, man, to think about and how it correlates to our modern lives.
I was actually looking at a map last night, not to get too off topic, but like, no wonder Iran's so, they're so how they are. Dude, every surrounding place pretty much we've, like, made into a failed state with, like, coups and fucking... Yeah. And it's just no fucking... And then it's no wonder Russia wants to be involved because they're right there, too.
Yeah. And they're just right across the Black Sea there.
Like, it's common sense. And there's people who, like, act like there's no reason Iran hates us. Like, they literally believe they hate us for our fucking freedom. Like, the propaganda
because
bullshit.
They're a Shia state. And that's a good thing to get back on subject here a little bit. Because, yeah, Johnny, you and I have talked about people we know just outright being nationalist. And we've seen that change in discourse here. And they have this attitude that Iran hates us and they're the enemy because they hate our freedoms and because they're this religious theocracy. And Iran it's a bad government. It's an authoritarian state. I'm not in support of Iran, and neither the Iranian people who live there, neither are they. I saw several videos about people talking about how happy they were that Suleiman was dead because he was an oppressor.
There's a lot who were sad about it too, though.
It's just like with any.
Like he had 50-something% approval rating in Iran, which is like no politician here really gets that.
Yeah. Where was I going with that? Yeah. So there's a reason why Iran hates us.
Yeah,
and it's because we have been meddling in their affairs, and obviously in the affairs of the Middle East as a whole since before World War I. Western civilization has been involved, but America really started to get involved in World War II because parts of those areas were owned by the British, and we wanted to hold up the British Empire at any costs. But then, especially after World War II, like I said, we inherited this responsibility of empire. Oh shit, they're coming. They finally
helicopters here.
Oh shit, and then it actually is for us. God damn. Sorry about the sirens there, guys. I don't even know if you can pick those up or not, but our house is about to be kicked in by the fucking United States government. But yeah, after World War II, we inherited this essentially responsibility of empire, if you want to call it responsibility of empire. More like privilege. But at that time, shortly after World War II, and I'm not a history professor, so some of this is going to be off, but after World War II, we tried to support democratic elections. So we did it to some degree. Like, it wasn't all just us being corrupt and rubbing our hands and being like, the oil and the money.
Yeah.
There was some things that came positive out of American, interventionism, right? But what happened is the Iranian people, the Persian people, elected a man that was, for I guess lack of a better word, you'd call him a socialist, in that he wanted to nationalize the oil production of Iran and use the revenue. He's going to sell it to America. He's going to sell it to whoever wanted it, for whatever price the market demands. And he was going to use the money for Iran, infrastructure, the arts, education, to help the Iranian people. We were like, no. You can have democratic elections and self-sovereignty, but only if it's, going to help us, man.
Yeah, exactly.
So what we did is organized a coup that eventually put, I can't remember the guy's name, but he's known as the Shah. And this man was extremely authoritarian.
Kind of like their royal family, too, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, you can think of it like a sheik.
Like, wasn't he in power before this guy, too, or some shit?
I can't recall exactly. You guys can look in on some of this yourself.
I was just listening to something, and they was saying how he was put back into power.
Yeah, it probably was. He was probably already in power, serving essentially the British government.
Yeah.
And funneling oil through the Suez Canal, through the Mediterranean for British use, right? But so this guy gets put into power, gets put back into power. He's extremely authoritarian, extremely corrupt. He lives in a palace while Iranian people are starving. They're still reeling from World War II. It's a real fucking shit show.
Yeah, I saw a video when I was just listening. Like, he was, like, in this fancy-ass, like, at a fancy-ass
badass dinner. Yeah, dude, he is a baller. Like, straight up. I mean, just... So he's living in this opulence while people are starving. It's a fucking shit show. The government's corrupt, yada, yada, yada. And the Iranian people did not like that. And so you started to have these segments within their civilization kind of ramp up for some sort of revolution, be it peaceful or otherwise. And there was many different factions. We know Iran as a theocratic Shiite state, essentially caliphate, much like ISIS is, but more legitimate because they have political stability. But there were other groups. There were communists, there were socialists, there were liberal Republicans, there were there's all kinds of things. And one of the reasons why the theocracy and the radical Islamists took power is, one, the United States government did anything they could to stifle socialists and communists. Not saying communists would be good, but they were like, fuck no, that's the last thing we want. That's what we just got rid of. So they purposely did what they could to sabotage that. Mm-hmm. At the same time, you started to see these Islamic radicals gain these separatist groups, these revolutionary groups gain power. And I was listening to Kyle Kalinske on his Secular Talk channel. I didn't realize this, but one of the reasons why the Islamic revolutionaries were so successful is because this Shah was spying on everybody. He had an authoritarian secret police state, right? He was spying on everybody, but do you know the one place that he was not spying? The mosques.
Really?
Because he was a Muslim himself, and that was...
Yeah. It went against even his shit.
Yeah, so he wasn't spying in the mosques. The Islamic Church, or whatever you want to call it...
Fun fact as well. A college professor predicted it was going to be the more radical Muslims that took over in the revolution. Because when he asked all the
during this time period,
when he asked all the Iranian college kids, that's what they said was going to happen, and not like they were for it necessarily, but they just saw. And college kids are a lot more in tune than people want to give them credit for. Like, they know the political winds of countries.
Isn't that the funny thing about our own shit now? It's
always
let's be honest. When change happens, it's always It's always the young, well-educated people, and it's always the fucking bourgeoisie, the middle class that's older that tries to stifle it.
And I think any smart, college-educated person our age sees that if we don't do a Bernie Sanders style on our side, we are going to lose to the theocratic right wing of the country.
Yeah, and that's...
certain people want to act like that's not even possible, but if you're smart, you see how that's going to happen.
That's interesting, and we'll fucking segue into that in a second, but I want to kind of finish what I'm saying with... then the Islamists, they were able to get together in these mosques and stash weapons and all kinds of shit there, and then bada bing, bada boom, shit hit the fan, and you ended up with the Ayatollah. And it's like... But yeah, what you're saying is interesting, because... Something similar could happen in America, but let's be clear here. It's not going to be Shia Muslims or Sunni Muslims. It's going to be what, Johnny?
It's going to be theocratic fucking
evangelical Christians.
Look who Mike Pence is. It's already kind of happened.
I know.
And Trump, I don't believe Trump gives a fuck about religion, but he's definitely willing to use it to his own benefit.
Well, because fundamentalist Christians in America are a large voting bloc, larger than we would like to believe.
I've seen it here in Iowa. Yeah, it's fucking crazy, dude. You don't even like know they exist. They're like a sleeper cell or some shit.
Dude, I know, because they seem like everyday people. It's not like, and that's how it always
is. They got like 10 kids and fucking...
Yep. And it's fascinating that you bring that up because, yes, what happened in Iran could happen here in the worst case scenario if there's political instability.
It's the same shit. They literally believe the same shit socially and...
Yeah, and you and I have talked about, like, what if Bernie doesn't win? What if the democratic process is so fucked that we have to start a revolution, violent or otherwise? Not saying that I advocate for that, but let's say that's what comes. Because people are so frustrated, the economy tanks, it gets worse and worse and worse, and people are finally like, no!
Yeah.
The hope would be that if that happened, we have more of a democratic socialist movement, which still has liberal democracy, right? But let's think here. Which of the two groups, liberal social democrats, socialists, or the evangelical right-wing Christians, out of the two, which one has more resources and which one has more arms and more of a military background? The theocrats.
Yep.
So if we saw shit really hit the fan in America and there's civil unrest, civil war, revolution, we could say that maybe it was started with the best of intentions, but then these theocrats, because of however the course of history goes, end up taking the power. Do you know the TV show and the book by Margaret Atwood, The Handmaid's Tale?
Yeah, I've never read or seen it, but I know the premise.
Honestly, I know you're not a big fiction guy. I know you like to read like all your journalistic pieces and stuff, and that's great. But
Did you just buy that? Is that what's in there?
That's her second book, The Testament.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I opened that book up because I was like, I've been eyeing it. Like every time I work at Target, and every time I come in, I walk by it because that's like what I do. I like eye shit for a while before I get it.
It's very sad that Target's like our bookstore now.
I know.
Sorry.
That bums me out. Yeah.
It pisses me off.
But yeah, I opened that book up at the register just like to and the first thing I read was The Experimental Mind Control Penises. Like in dialogue text, and I was like, "This is gonna be a good book." You know what I'm saying? Because I love crazy shit like that. But I know, I know you're not like really into fiction, but you would actually really like The Handmaid's Tale because it talks about this sort of shit, where the women essentially become second-class citizens, and there's certain ones called handmaids that are literally because there's been like pollution and radiation from nuclear war, so women can't
like
really have children. They're used as wombs. Right.
Talk about this a little short. I gotta go pee real quick. Drink a lot of coffee.
Fuck. Yeah. All right. But so yeah. I wanted to tell you about it, but all right. Just hurry back. But kind of what happens in that book is there's like an economic kind of collapse in America, and you know they're going through the similar problems of what we're having now: corruption, political division, and yada yada yada. And, like, slowly, you know, these theocrats, these evangelicals start taking, you know, more and more positions in government and getting away with more and this and that. And suddenly shit kind of hits the fan where, like, women throughout the country, like, aren't able to, like, use their credit cards. Their bank accounts are, like, closed. And it doesn't really get into the details of how it happened, but, you know, pretty much one day America wakes up, or at least a region of America wakes up, and these theocratic evangelical radicals, fundamentalists, have taken power, and they form a new state called, like, Arcadia or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it's called. And, yeah, so it's something, you know, she really kind of visualized it in this really, you know, elegant but dark way.
I feel like you've told me about this before, too.
You should read it sometime, man. It's really... I listened to it on audiobook, so it's a great read.
Dude, I'm so weird. I just read really slowly. Like, I'll read, like, a chapter, and then I won't read the book for another week, and then I need to read more. I'm trying to. But.
Do you remember, like, back in my drinking days? Like, I would come home, and I'd get, like, a six-pack and, like, a pint of brandy, and I would sit on the couch.
See, I can't do that. I can't read and drink.
I can, dude.
I get one drink in me, I'm like, done reading.
Well, because here's the thing. My problem that I have with reading is, you know me, I'm kind of a workaholic, and I'm always cleaning, I'm always doing something. I have a hard time unwinding. But when I drink, I don't get drunk like... I can chill. And so I would just sit and I'd drink 6 to 12 beers and a fucking
So
pint
that's
of
kind
cognac.
of triggering to me because, like, it sounds nice, just a nice 6-pack in a book,
I know.
but I know that's not what it'd be. I'd be 2 beers in, I'm like, done with the book, need to go get another 6-pack.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah. I mean, then one night I think I sat and read the whole. You were sitting there on the computer, and I read Kurt Vonnegut's Slaughterhouse 5 in one sitting.
Oh yeah, I remember.
And you're like, how are you doing that? And there's just like all these beer bottles sitting there.
Yeah,
I'm like, I don't know. It's just a good. But anyway, yeah, dude, fucking. That's not political and stuff, but booze, man. It's fucking. You talked about how that triggers you, and like I've been sober long enough now where. I have my moments where I want to go back to alcohol because it feels like I would describe it as a warm blanket or a hot bath. I just want to sink into it. Mm-hmm. But I know it's like a lie.
Yeah.
And I've been sober enough long enough, and I've been distant enough from my drinking to like be able to really be like, dude, come, like my brain knows now. Like, dude, it's going to be great for that first 3 or 4. But
I haven't drank well over a month.
I think it's probably closer to 2, man.
And I just feel way better. Like, it's night and day.
Yeah.
I'm a nicer person.
Yeah. You're more in tune. You care about more stuff.
You get selfish as fuck when you drink all the time.
Yeah, because
I do anyway.
you're just...
And you don't want to be, but you are.
No. And everything irritates you, and you're just...
Oh, yeah.
You know what it's like, dude? Being an alcoholic is like, dude, it's like you're terminally ill. That's how I look at it. It's a terminal disease. It's just very, very slow.
And I would cancel on so much stuff that I had to go do because I like felt like crap.
Yeah, man.
And it's like, it's probably good I canceled on shit though, because you don't want to show up like hungover at anything.
Oh man, I remember so many times just showing up to shit like my eyes like red.
Yeah.
And
I don't. A lot of kids our age too struggling with alcohol addiction.
Yeah.
Especially around here where there's not very good jobs
and drugs. Man, the sheer amount of people Johnny and I know that we were like good friends with or associated with that
meth
are honestly
destroys people. Dude.
I know. Well, we're from the Rust Belt in Iowa, so meth is a huge problem, man. So many young people we know.
Like I don't want to like. It's weird. Like I actually like wish there was someone who was like actually wanting to crack down on it. I don't want more funding to police though. I want like.
I'd like to see more funding to police to bust people, but I would like to see them not go to jail for it. I'd like to see them be put into treatment centers and get in hospitals. Would be though. I know, but that's what I would like. I'm all for more police resources for cracking down on the big guys, but.
And it's just weird. It's weird though about like the whole rehab shit because it puts a bunch of addicts together so they can talk about doing the drug, and then I feel like they trigger each other. That's the one. Like, you remember
dude, it has like
that Darian girl, like just the way she got back into it because she came here.
Yeah.
We had someone who lived next to us named, I shouldn't name drop her, but I doubt she. But anyways,
let's not get into the details of all that because that was.
But it was just crazy, and I heard the details, and it's like, fuck, you put the people trying to get better together, and they talk about the drug use, and then they end up getting the drugs and doing them together.
That's how it happens sometimes, and I think what the thing is though. I think it's different with drugs than it is with alcohol because AA is super effective. Kurt Vonnegut, to mention him again, said like AA, like he's a satirical writer and he kind of says AA is the greatest American invention. Do you know how? I think I might have told you this, but we can go over it again for the listeners. Do you know how like AA started?
I do, but I can't.
There was a pastor and a doctor who were both alcoholics. Bad drinkers, and they knew it. And I can't remember how they ran into each other, but they started talking about their drinking and like, fuck, like I don't want to drink, but I can't help it. And they had a conversation for several hours, and by the end of it, they were like, I don't feel like drinking. Like I feel like I don't need to have a drink, which was whoa. And so they started developing this thing, and what they used to do is go to these hospitals because, dude. Drinking's still a big problem. Alcoholism's still a big problem. But prior to Prohibition, alcoholism was, like, fucked up. Like, it was, like, people would wake up and by the end of the day, they had drank 3
Well, you wonder how a lot of stupid shit happened in history. And it's like, I guarantee drinking
people
was involved.
Fucked up, dude. Yeah, like, the people were fucked up as hell, But anyway, what these guys would do, the guys who started the AA and the 12-step program, is they would go to hospitals, and they used to have drunk wards where people were dying from terminal booze, and they would still give them booze because if they didn't give them the booze, they would die. And there'd be like wives there with their kid, like, and they just be like, and there's this one story where they went and, you know, they went to the head nurse or the head doctor or whatever, is there any drunks here that we can, and they're like, yeah, there's one in there with his wife, and they talked to the wife, and, you know, can we talk to him? She's like, you can talk to him, you can try to help him, but I don't think there's anything you can do. I've tried everything. I've just accepted he's going to die. And they're like, oh, no, you don't get it. We're here to help ourselves. And that's like where the whole thing about like having a sponsor and like talking to...
See, no, I've heard Joe Rogan talk about this multiple times. Was LSD involved with AA? Because like I know for a fact he said like that's something that was involved with these guys. Like they did LSD and that helped like...
Well, but how would they have done LSD?
That's the thing. Like, I don't know if it's AA that he's talking about and mixing it up with something else. But there's some help program for people who are addicts where LSD was.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I could see that. Maybe there was psilocybin, or I think there was some form of LSD, but it was a lot more mild because it wasn't synthesized.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Who knows? But it's an interesting.
Yeah, that stuff. You know, certain hallucinogenic psychedelic drugs can help. With sobriety. And is psilocybin legalized for recreational use in Colorado, or is it just... Let me look at that.
Because I know something's going on there, and that's something I haven't heard much about.
Sorry, one second. I'm going to look that up.
Yeah, because that's...
I'll just type in mushrooms.
I feel like it was recreational.
I think it's...
I don't know.
Mushrooms in Colorado. I'm not sure. I know that it was on the ballot.
So that's what we need to do here.
Decriminalization. Denver poised to become first in the U.S. to loosen restrictions. That was,
and that's not really legalized, but it's.
You're not going to go to jail.
It's confiscated, right? Don't you get like a ticket, or do you get a ticket?
It just depends. I don't know.
It doesn't really make sense to even get a ticket if it's not a criminal act.
Well, I don't know.
But I guess like a misdemeanor is a low level crime even considered a criminal act.
I don't really know.
I don't
know. I'm not a fucking lawyer.
It would be awesome to be a lawyer, but it's too much fucking...
Dude, that's the thing. Law is interesting, and it would be cool to be in that thing, especially, you know...
But you ever think how stupid it is? It's cool we have all these rules, but...
Yeah.
Like, constitutional lawyers are reading this old-ass document, and people can take it, like, all these different ways, and you gotta have this fancy degree and understanding of shit to decide, like, if... what this guy said way back when means this or if it means that.
Oh, yeah, especially in, like, weird. Appeal court. Yeah, it is wild.
Yeah.
Like, it makes sense that there's laws for, like... Yeah, it's crazy, man. It's crazy just in general how human beings, like, come together and, like, build these cities and these, like... You know, we think of the cities and the roads and all the things we do, but we build other things. We build structures of coexistence, and it's really fucking... It's a real wild trip if you step back and take a look at it all.
Yeah.
Yeah, fuck, we're going all over the place today, man. I kind of like it, you know. Sometimes I'd like to do, if you guys are kind of digging the conversations we're having, just kind of bouncing off whatever comes up, you know, let us know, drop a comment, because, like, we focus a lot on politics and stuff in this show because that's what Johnny and I are passionate about, and that's kind of what... I remember you and I talked about, like, when I was talking about doing podcasts, I kind of had in my mind, like, more of maybe a comedic podcast or just talking about whatever, and you're like, dude, I'm telling you, like, we got to do politics because this, like, that's how we'll start. And I think it was a good choice and right on your part. I think that was a good insight. But at the same time, I would love to kind of branch out and do more things. And we've talked about having guests that aren't necessarily political on and whatever. But
yeah, I mean,
you know, Johnny and I talked about, you know, once we get to a certain point with this podcast, like maybe 1,000 to 2,000 subscribers, you know, we have a vision of how we want this to go, and we're going to work on it step by step. But we talked about maybe doing a comedic podcast in a hot tub, because
that would be hilarious.
And we would set the hot tub up.
How to set it up would be a whole different
story. We'd figure it out. But you know, maybe down the road, if this takes off and we get enough support to where we would, we have this nice basement that we're going to turn into a studio this year. But we'd set up a hot tub down there, and it would just be a comedic podcast where we just talk shit, look at funny shit on the internet, have guests on, and all kinds of stuff. So that'd be kind of fun to do. It'd be
hilarious if somehow it's pulled off.
I think it could take off because, like, no one's ever done anything like that, and just the name The Tub, like, that's...
There's just so many little issues that would arise. God, it'd be...
Yeah, with that, we would have to have somebody manage the studio.
Yeah, or even, like, the bubbling of the hot tub might fuck with audio.
Well,
like, I have to think all
I imagine we wouldn't have the hot tub on.
Yeah.
Like, it would just be, like, chilling out in the water, or maybe start with it on and then go from there. But, yeah, I just think that would be fun as fuck, dude. I really do. But anyway, let's get back into the news a little bit. So, yeah, Iran's been going on. You know, this is scary stuff, but maybe, you know, it's kind of died down a little bit now. And I even got a little bit of hysteria. But really, I think we kind of called Iran's bluff. They did some, like, petty shit to show that, like, hey, we are capable of doing stuff. But really, if you look at it, Iran doesn't want to fuck with us, man. Because, like,
they told the Iraqi government what they were about to. Like, they made it clear that so the troops got out of the way of those missile attacks.
It's just a flex.
Well, they need to show their people that. And, you know, there's actually major protests going on for their government to resign after they shot down that plane. The Iranian people are pissed that their government shot down that passenger plane.
Oh, really? Yeah, because I think that was a
that's
major
the thing,
fuck
like,
up.
That's why this war is fucking fucked up that people would support it. Because, like, dude, the Iranian people, you aren't thinking about the innocent people there that don't like their government either that are going to die in a fucking war.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't even really be that. They would just get blown up and fucking... God damn, man.
People that advocate for war, I mean, I made that Facebook post a while back that was really fucking inflammatory because people, you know, between Call of Duty and, like, Saving Private Ryan and war films and all this shit, we have this, like, propaganda machine that has, like, put this notion of, like, what war is into the American mind. People don't understand what it is, dude. It's fucking missiles that come by the hundreds that one of them can blow up an entire city block, and you fucking come home from work and your fucking family is crushed by rubble and your daughter's fucking impaled by rebar and your life's gone. People you love. It's fucking gangs of soldiers or criminals roaming the streets looking for your loved ones, your wife, your daughter, your fucking grandma to rape. It's fucking famine because no food can get in. All the food's destroyed. It's people dying from preventable diseases, rotting, gangrene. It's lives, man, being destroyed. It's not fucking, we gotta charge. It's not fucking dramatic, glorious, fucking whatever, man. War is terrible, and I've never fucking been in a war, obviously, but I have enough human empathy to understand, like, what it's really is, and I don't think people have the imagination.
God, I need to find this, dude. It was such a good.
There's so many people that, like, they just don't fathom what they're actually advocating for, and it's sad to me, man.
Damn it, dude. Yeah.
But you know, with Iran, man, you know, looking back at, you know, it's been a week or so now since things have kind of died down. I think a lot of it was hysteria, and maybe we can transition into this. I think Trump did what he did on purpose to kind of distract the American people and try to garner votes because there's this impeachment proceeding going on.
Dude, it's crazy to me how all the president has to do is fucking do some act of war and people fall in line for it.
Yeah, because the flag is powerful, my man. It really is. Do you have any thoughts about that? Anything you've been looking into about the whole impeachment process of what's going on? We can jump into that a little bit.
I don't know, dude. I think it's a fucking shit show, and it just helps Trump, to be honest with you.
Mm-hmm. Why is that?
Because people think, like, I've literally had a Democratic guy at the door who's supporting Trump, and it's like they think the Democrats are trying to do... Yeah, dude. He's voted Democrat in the past, at least.
Okay.
Like, he fucking essentially acts like it's the Democrats, and I heard this in 2018 about that judge, Brett Kavanaugh.
Yes.
Same shit from people who normally vote Democrat when I was calling them. Like, I've heard this from multiple people since 2018.
Okay.
They feel the Democrats are sore losers and are trying to, like, do a coup, essentially.
Really?
Like, that's their mindset. Because, dude, that's what Fox News shoves down their fucking throat every day.
That's true. That's true.
That's why it's like people like Warren, for instance, and other Democratic candidates that won't go on to Fox News say it's... Dude, it's not just Republicans who watch Fox News. Like, Democrats watch it, too.
Yeah, I know.
Like...
The political establishment's completely disconnected, man. They don't understand. And, dude, that's the thing. Dude, here's the thing. Bernie is surging in the polls. There's huge problems in America. And when you really get down to it, this impeachment process, it's going to be dead in the water because the Republicans own the Senate. Mitch McConnell's the one fucking running the trial and shit, right? It's going to be dead in the water. The Democratic establishment knows it. And it's just a big PR thing to try and garner votes for them.
It's not even good PR, in my opinion. It's fucking...
in their minds, they've made up that it is. Or they have some agenda for it. But when it comes down to it, nothing's going to happen. And all it does is fill up the news cycle and distract people from the fucking bullshit that's actually going on and the fact that Bernie's going to win.
If we do impeach Trump, it doesn't magically make things any better in this country, dude.
I know, man. But it feels like but it's a fucking symbolic victory. And when it comes down to it, Americans are afraid of actual change, but they want to feel like shit's changing.
Yeah.
They want to feel good about it, man. Oh, you can keep fucking me in the ass all you want, Democrats. So you can take all my money, Wall Street. Please, just make me feel good. Just make me feel good. Let me feel like it's okay and we don't have racism and America's economy's booming because a guy just bought another fucking yacht. But really, man, they just... I don't know. And that's what this all is, man. This is what the impeachment proceedings is. Both sides know it's bullshit. The Republicans know it's going to help Trump because, like you just said, that guy in middle America is like, they're trying to have a coup. They're trying to do this and that. And they just know that it distracts people from the fact that Bernie is surging, that a revolution could be on its way, and that millions of Americans are suffering from one of the issues facing them, be it whatever it is.
Yeah, it's amazing. Like, every time Bernie does something, that, like, big thing that if Biden were to have done it or an establishment candidate would have done it, it suddenly becomes not a big deal. Like, suddenly Bernie leading in Iowa's not a big deal. Which arguably, it's not, but it sets a tone, right? Delegate-wise, who gives a fuck? Like, California...
That's a big daddy.
It's 400-something delegates. Like, that's a big deal. But Iowa's like, whatever, right? I get it. But it's a big deal when it's not Bernie. Or Bernie raising all this money. Somehow, the corporate media says, money really isn't a deciding factor when it's Bernie.
Yeah, I know.
But when it's fucking someone raising millions of dollars from billionaires, it's a fucking massive deal.
Yeah.
It's just so much contradiction. In the debate last night, or on Tuesday, with fucking CNN... all like the framing of the questions were all lopsided against Bernie.
I know.
The whole point of the debate was to try to take Bernie down. Like they kept calling on Bernie, and it wasn't in a positive way. Like it was. Yeah. And he handled it really good.
Yeah.
But
well,
he's a fucking
genius when it comes to that shit.
Biden barely had to say much and was just there. That helps Biden.
Yeah.
And then they pit and we're not supposed to talk negatively about Warren because we need to, and I understand that. But she caused this entire infighting shit show between progressives now.
Yeah.
And now you got people fucking blaming, saying Bernie's a liar. And now you got people saying Warren's a liar.
Yeah, dude, that was a smart political move on the establishment's part to fucking foster this.
But what are you doing, Warren?
Yeah. You know,
and then she goes and fucking confronts Bernie on camera on national TV, knowing they're mic'd up, knowing fucking cameras are on.
I wanted to play that, actually. Keep talking about this, dude, because, like...
Yeah, find that. It's the Axios one that I sent. Should be fairly right away.
Yeah, man, this is purposeful to split the progressive vote. Oh, did you send it to Here We Are? Okay.
Yeah, yep.
Where is it? CNN's villainous and shameful. Okay, right, here it is. So what happened is, for those of you who may not know what's been going on, there apparently some comment came out, people that were there, quote unquote, came out and said that Bernie told Elizabeth Warren that a president can't win, or a woman can't become president, like back in what, 20...
Before they ran, 2018, 2019.
Okay, so this came out. It later came out that it was debunked.
Well, Tulsi said that she also met with Bernie. He didn't say anything like that.
Yeah. Yep, so pretty much it's just this big thing that the Warren campaign was trying to do to smear Bernie because they want to knock him down.
Yeah, it just reeks of desperation right before the Iowa caucuses.
Yeah, right when we have all these polls coming out that Bernie's
Why
winning.
didn't you say this months ago, Warren?
Yep, and I didn't watch the debate. I know that you did, Johnny. I don't know how
watch
the whole
some
thing
of it.
down,
I didn't watch
but,
all of it.
But I'm going to try to play this here for you guys. This was at the end of the debate. right? When everyone's shaking hands and being buddy-buddy.
And one more thing before we get into it. I want to bitch about how it's a debate. How is it a debate when they're all asked different questions and they all just go off on their own little things? How is that a debate? Isn't the whole point of it? Am I wrong about this? I feel like...
No, you're not. You're right.
You fucking debate one question. It just... Sorry, I had to fucking bitch about it because it pisses me off.
It's a load of bullshit.
It's meant to bore you.
It is.
And be a bunch of bullshit the entire time.
And like disorient you.
And every time Bernie tries to bring up climate change... They're like, this isn't about climate change. I
know. Meanwhile, climate change is the biggest issue ever in human history.
Yeah.
Like,
and they act like Bernie's retarded for linking it to other problems. Meanwhile, the CIA even says that a bunch of unrest in the Middle East and shit is going to be caused by the fucking climate change.
And in Africa and in Asia, like, it's ridiculous. Damn. But anyway, so there's been this, like, spat all over the internet. It's something... It's driven a wedge between progressives, and it's just... Anyway, at the end of the debate, when everyone's shaking hands and being buddy-buddy, Warren comes up to Bernie. Bernie puts out his hand to, like, shake her hand and be civil and all that, and this is what goes down.
You called me a liar on national TV? What? I think you called me a liar on national TV?
Let's not do it right now. You want to have that discussion, we'll have that discussion. You called me. You told me. All right, let's not do it now.
I don't want to get real, but I just want to say hi.
Bernie was fucking pissed right there.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's like, fuck you, Steyer.
Yeah, okay. Man, that was some crazy shit. I remember you showed me that before the audio came out, and I was like, holy fuck.
Yeah, it looked like almost before I heard the audio that he's like, you, me, we're done. Yeah. But I see what... Obviously, we just heard what he just said, but...
Yeah, man, what
is she doing on national TV? Like, what the fuck are you doing? Like...
Yeah, and she knew, and it was on
purpose. Is it just her goal now to maybe attempt to tank Bernie? Because I don't get it, man. It's fucked up.
Neither do I, dude.
And what's going to happen now at the convention? Is she going to fuck us and give her delegates to fucking
it's crazy, this thing. Dude, I think Elizabeth Warren originally got in the race because she cared, and she was right on a couple of the issues, but... The party establishment and the people
Obama's cozying up to her.
They've inflated her ego to the point where she's lost her fucking vision about what this is really about. She's gone back on Medicare for all, dude. She's turned her back on the working class. I had high hopes for her as being an ally, but that's dead now, dude.
I don't want to completely say that because like this could just be a petty argument with them, and but the fact that she's doing that on national TV instead of just doing the fucking theatrics, shake his hand.
Yeah. It was on purpose, man.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't even be surprised if somebody goaded her into doing that.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, dude.
It's been wild to see her.
And there's people blaming just the corporate media for all this. But, dude, it's Warren's doing, dude. Like, yeah. I'm sorry. Warren is at fault here. Way, man. Because, okay, say Bernie did tell her in private he doesn't think a woman could beat Trump. They're friends, major allies, having a conversation about the problems on how we're going to beat Trump.
Yeah.
So say he did say it, that doesn't mean you go make him out to be a sexist or something. Dude, he's giving probably a political insight. I don't know.
Exactly, and we talked about that. Dude, there's no way in hell. Dude, Bernie has been for women's rights like nobody else ever, dude. And there's no way that he can't.
It's a video of him from the fucking 80s telling young kids that a woman could be president. Or 90s, whatever.
Supporting shit, before Roe v. Wade, abortion rights. There's no way that he was, like, having this conversation and was like, Warren, a woman can never win. It wasn't like that. It was like, the way people vote in this country and, the fact that Trump's president, I don't know if a woman can win right now. It was something like that. And it's been spun to be this fucking thing, and then she jumps in on it. That's fucking disgusting.
And when Bernie was laying out how he didn't say it, Warren literally wouldn't even look at him, was like not making eye contact. She just looked guilty.
Yeah. And dude, it's fucking incredibly sad to me, man. But...
Well, yeah, Bernie doesn't look... It makes me feel bad for Bernie. Like, literally, like, he's, like... His one major fucking ally is now trying to fuck him for her own power.
Well, it's literally Brutus and Caesar at two. At 2, Warren.
Yeah, I know. When Bernie stuck out his hand, he looked sad. He was like... I don't know. Yeah. It was fucked up.
Yeah, man. What are you going to do? I hope things maybe get paved over, and I hope I hope that they can come together to save that progressive vote, because unfortunately...
I think it's only helped Bernie. And then the media onslaught, I honestly think it's going to backfire like it did with Trump and help Trump, because... just blatantly biased against Bernie. Like, come on.
Yeah.
It's like, and then they always push out the same articles, either positive or negative at once. Like they're all just one entity. It's fucking weird.
I know. Let's see here. There's a couple other things we could touch on quick, and then we'll wrap it out. We're already about an hour here, man. But what was this here? God, we're so behind on everything. There's Daily Beast report. Trump is privately obsessed with Bernie's popularity.
Yeah, and I did watch it, and he keeps like asking about polls of Bernie and shit, and he's very concerned about Pennsylvania and how Bernie would do there.
Yeah,
and it's like you can tell that because Trump's been sending out emails. Yeah. One was like, Bernie is a greedy millionaire, fossil fuel guzzling.
Said this about Bernie?
Yeah, in an email to fundraise.
Bernie's like, I drive a Tesla.
No, but, and then, yeah, he's like, crazy Bernie is surging. He's surging.
I love that, dude.
Like, and dude, I don't know, man. The way Trump talks about Bernie, it's just not the same with, like, other people. Yeah. You can tell he, like, weirdly, it's almost like Trump is like, Bernie should be president in his mind. Mm-hmm. And it intimidates him or something.
You know, yeah, because he knows that if it would have been Bernie versus Trump in 2016.
Well, remember when he agreed to debate Bernie during the primaries? Yeah. Trump had pretty much secured that it was obvious Trump was going to be the Republican nominee. But he said he was going to debate Bernie. He was even the one that kind of brought it up. Mm-hmm. They agreed to a debate. There was actually going to be televised, and then Trump backed out.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Oh, yeah. Really?
And fucking people like Bernie somehow defend Trump for that.
Dude, Bernie will destroy Trump because what Bernie does every time when they try to like get onto some petty shit, he's always like, I want to talk about the issues.
Well, and the gloves will finally be off. I get kind of sick of Bernie being like, my good friend Joe. Bernie ain't going to be like, my good friend Trump.
Oh, he's going to be a savage, dude. He's going to be that fucking Marxist that was walking around back in his college days. You know what I'm saying? Like, remember those recordings we had of him reading Eugene Debs with, like, another woman?
Yeah.
That shit was epic because, like, when you listen to it, you could tell he fucking believes it, dude.
Yeah.
So, yeah. You know, I'm getting hopeful, Johnny, and I know we still have a savage road ahead.
If things were completely fair in our elections, I wouldn't even be worried.
No.
But knowing that they're going to do some shady-ass shit, I just hope the campaign is deeply prepared for it this time.
I think they are, man.
They gotta be.
I think they are because,
like, I would be funneling millions into
here's the thing, dude.
Secure elections for this. Like, I don't know.
I think they're going to. I think they have a plan because they seem competent too. Like, they seem like they know they're going to win.
Yeah, Bernie seems... And, fun fact, Bernie's led that Des Moines Register poll at 20%, I think, and Warren was at 17%.
Yeah.
A former Clinton staffer congratulated Bernie and said the Democrat who has led that at this point in the past 6 elections has gone on to be the Democratic nominee.
Yeah, man.
So
we'll see. The establishment's scared.
And I'm not really afraid of Iowa being tampered with that much because the 6 coin toss stuff was bullshit.
Here's the thing.
But we were close.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's states like New York where
the
hundreds of thousands
really
were purged from the...
Yes.
California where Hillary Clinton gave her fucking victory speech while people were still voting.
Yeah.
And then, like, millions of uncounted ballots. Like, that's where I start to get worried.
Here's my thing, though, is, you know how we've had, like, recounts, like, when it was Gore versus Bush and stuff? Like I said, I think the Bernie campaign and Bernie himself feel really confident. Like, they exude it, and it's contagious. I think they have a plan that if there's fuckery, they have, like, agents, like, ready. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, they had people... First off, we already know that we have a plan to have, like, tons of boots on the ground of our own campaign at the Cox locations, which was a mistake that we made last time. So there's that. But I feel like they have, like, lawyers in place in these trouble areas where they're going to be like, if there's some shit that seems like, what the fuck, we were way ahead in the polls, why isn't this coming out like that? They're going to be like, no, we need a recount. Like, I think they have a plan, dude. I really do.
Well, dude, and there's this video coming out, like an undercover video, it's like an expose of a fucking field organizer.
Yeah.
Who's drinking at a bar.
Okay.
He brings up gulags. Yeah, he brings up gulags, and then he says Milwaukee will burn if they screw us at the convention.
Yeah.
And they're making it out to be like it's this. Yeah, but it's fucking someone like us pissed.
Yeah, dude, we joke about that shit all the time.
Yeah, and like I had this Trump supporter I always go back and forth with that I work with.
Uh-huh.
He fucking... he acted like the guy was some high-end Bernie staffer. And I'm like, dude,
it's just a door knocker or something, man.
A glorified door knocker, dude.
Yeah, that's what a fellow is.
And they call people to try to,
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous. Because, dude, there's high-end, I'm sorry I'm going on a little rant, but there's high-end people that worked for Trump that are going to prison for shit they've done. It's just crazy.
Dude, and one more thing on this, on that subject is, like, especially with this whole Warren and Bernie thing, I've had, like, certain people on Facebook, like, send me this stuff of, like, Bernie supporters or somebody associated with the campaign, like, doing this. Like, somebody sent me a Burn the Witch thing from 2016. Just other stuff being, like, either Bernie's against women or Bernie's, like, divisive in this and that. It's like, dude,
yes, passionate supporters.
Bernie and the high-ups in his campaign can't be responsible for, dude. And here's another fucking big dick measuring thing to you guys. There's over 1 million people hitting the streets for Bernie. We're going to have some guys that either have a twisted sense of humor like you and I do, or that are crazy. Yeah. We have known, Johnny and I have personally known a couple of people like who support Bernie they're nutty. They're nutty. They're not all there.
Yeah.
Like, that does not reflect, the fact that they are for Bernie does not reflect the actual campaign. And
dude, I've met nutty people for all types of candidates.
Exactly.
Dude, okay, I saw this the other day. A Warren supporter from Iowa shared, Bernie needs to denounce this person, and it's a random person on fucking Twitter sharing a picture of Warren on a snake's body.
Yeah.
How is Bernie supposed to denounce a random fucking supporter on Twitter?
Every day go down a fucking list.
Yeah, do you realize how stupid that sounds? And dude, like,
Daniel has
he has very
passionate
passionate supporters who drop facts, and a lot of the times it's because people drop facts and are highly critical of other candidates. Dude, people can't take facts, dude.
I know.
Like,
I know. It's wild.
And Bernie's supposed to denounce this shit.
Yeah, man.
Adam76 on Twitter, who shared the Warren Snake meme. I denounce it. I have no ties to Adam. I don't want his support. Like, what the fuck is he supposed to do?
Daniel with Big Dick and Balls 72 in April of 2018, you said that Warren shouldn't run because she's a cunt. And I don't agree with that.
Sam for Bernie on Tennessee Twitter had a hammer and sickle shirt. I want to say
I'm not a communist, and I don't support that.
Like every day, Bernie uploads an hour-long video with a giant list denouncing supporters. Like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Fucking sick of people, dude.
Well, all right, man. Let's wind it down. We already did over an hour here. You know what, guys? Thanks for hanging out with us. Episode 20. We're at 271 subscribers. We'll be at 300 soon. We still want to make our goal of 1,000 by July 15th is about when we first started. Seriously appreciate you guys being with us. We got started on this journey and had no fucking idea what we were doing. I didn't know anything. I just bought the equipment and I started it. And look at where we are. We're still small, incredibly small, but we have big hopes. We got big ambitions for this rebrand, for our channel, for everything. Down the road, once we get more support, we'll be doing merchandise. We're going to be doing a lot of shit. We're going to have more guests on. And I'm just really happy that you guys have been here with us. February 1st, man, we're going to be starting up with that rebrand. Thank you guys so much. If you want to support us, if you want to support the podcast, you can go to my Patreon at patreon.com/double_. Okay, hang on. www.patreon.com/double_D. If there you can find all my poetry, my flash fiction, short stories and stuff. Subscribe to that. It's a monthly subscription to help us grow, help us make more money so we can work less and produce more content for you guys. But anyway, I'll send you guys out a little bit of talking heads. It's been nice hanging out with you guys. This has been episode number 20 of the Here We Are podcast. All right, guys. Take it easy. Bye.
Yeah.